We got the Rise FC flyweight champion here on the program, Chad Anheliger, who's going to be taking on Craig MacLean coming up here at Rise FC 3 on April 13th. Chad, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Feeling good. Training hard and long for this fight, so I'm getting down the last little stretch here. I'm feeling really good, really positive for it.
Yeah, and it's a huge fight coming up here. Like I mentioned, you have the opportunity here to be a double champ in Rise FC. But I wanted to start first at the beginning. As far as your career and your backstory, how did you get involved in combat sports?
Oh man, I've been asked this question so many times. You'd think I'd have a better answer figured out by now, but there was no real thing, no one specific thing, no one fighter, no watching the show or anything like that got me hooked. I just wanted something. I was just had graduated high school for like a year. Grew up in a really small town. We only had like 500-600 people. So I spent my whole life there, and all we ever had was hockey when it came to athletics. And I just kind of knew I wanted more. I was a little bit lost for a year or two after I was done playing hockey, and that's just kind of how it happened. I went into my first MMA gym, and I was just hooked so hard, so fast, man. Like I went every single day for years until before I ever finally took my first day off. I just was obsessed with it, and I started getting good fast. It made me even more obsessed with it, and then it just kind of grew from there. And now it's really just taken over my life, and I couldn't be happier. I found it.
And you talk about training. What about being an actual fan of the sport? When did that come? Was that right while you were training? Did that come after? When did that hit your radar?
Yeah, I mean, I was always a fan of the sport. I mean, that's kind of what made me actually first start going in there. But even then, I mean, it makes me a little bit dated, but it was a long time ago when I first went in there. It really wasn't out there that much. I knew about it. I saw the odd UFC when I used to hold an event every couple months. And it really wasn't the MMA combat that got me going, got me in there. I just wanted to learn martial arts. And at first, when I even started, I thought maybe it was boxing that I was more interested in, and it just kind of it grew itself from there. But yeah, I was a fan, and I knew I wanted to compete. I just wasn't totally sure how or why or when I wanted to do it, but it all worked itself out.
Along with fighting, what else you do for a living? What pays the bills for you right now?
I work at Tracker Marine, so it's a boat dealership actually attached to Bass Pro Shops here in town, and I run the service department there. I was a mechanic for a long time. Now I just manage the service department there, and I'm really, really, really lucky to have them because they are super supportive for my fight career. They know it's really important to me, and they give me everything I need to make sure I can compete at my best.
So when do you find time to train? Like I'm sure you have regular work hours. Are you going in the morning? Are you going in the evening? What does sort of a typical day look like for you?
Well, that goes back to just being lucky with how flexible my work can be for me. It kind of depends. I move it around day to day. Every day, I'm just on my phone talking to people and moving stuff around and trying to train a bit in the morning. Or I got an opening on a day I'm not that busy. I'll sneak off midday for a workout. And then my evenings always end up down in Champions Creek. I'm always hitting my classes down there and getting my evening work in down there. So I'm always, no matter what, I'm down there from. You'll find me from 5 to 10 o'clock every single night down in Champions Creek. But I work in what I can around that too. Work is super helpful, so I can sneak away in mornings, afternoons, and when I got to double up and I'm trying to become double champ.
Whatever you're doing is working, man. 6 fight win streak. What I find so interesting about your career is that you started off, I think, 2-5, and you haven't lost since. What has been the biggest difference in your opinion? Why? What do you attribute to this winning streak?
That one's an easy answer. I switched gyms. I went to Champions Creed. Um, I went to Champions Creed at 2-5, a 3 fight losing streak. Just wasn't satisfied with the results I was getting. I knew I could do better. I went over there. I kind of just gave myself fully to the gym, a hat in hand, and said I want to be better. And I trained for probably like a year and a half or something before I got back on and did another fight. But since then, boom, it's just been rolling 6 in a row, fighting the toughest guys I can. It's just been ramping up, and I'm feeling great. I still feel like I haven't even come close to my potential yet. I just want to keep rolling through guys, and as it's been going, I've been winning. My confidence been going, so it's just compounding, and I'm at a point now where I feel like I can beat the best guys in the world.
And that was on display in your last fight, man. What a win that was over Terrence Chen, where he captured the flyweight title. Just take me to that fight and that game plan. It seemed like that fight couldn't have gone any better for you.
Yeah, that night worked out great, and there's a lot of reasons it could have not gone that well. That was a long, hard training camp. Our fight got canceled and then moved. It was at a point where I actually had to reach out to Terrence just via social media and say, hey, I'm working on trying to get our fight move, don't go eat too much or blah, blah, blah. It was kind of funny to actually have to reach out to your opponent when we're both wanting the same thing. So I got big props to him too, because at that point, you're so deep into a camp, you hear it's canceled, and sometimes it's almost a relief. You're like, whatever, I'm going to go have a burger and relax. But he kept going, kept training. We talked about it. We want this fight. We'll find somebody to take it. And we did. So I was really happy that way the fight went down. And then, man, the day of the fight, I actually was super sick. Um, I couldn't warm up. I didn't even get out of bed until like 20 minutes before we had to go to the event. So I was really, really nervous about that fight. So going out there was tough. It was one of the harder things I had to do for that fight, was just to actually show up for it. But one of those things, I'm so glad I did, because it just takes over. Training did what it did. My body did what it always does, what it had been doing for 16 weeks in training camp, and it just took care of business. So I'm really happy. I knew Terrence was tough, but I know nobody out there can hang with me on the feet. So eventually I was going to win.
How did this come together with you moving up a weight class and fighting Craig MacLean? Was this something the promotion offered you, or is this something you were interested in? How did this all come together?
Yeah, I mean, this was my idea from the start. I'm not afraid to say it. I always kind of thought it would be a good fight way before both of us had fought or won. He was always on my radar because I respect him. I don't fight people I don't respect, because I'm not putting myself through a training camp for somebody that's going to flake out or not give me the fight that, we both work hard for. Or I'm just at my point in career. There's no way I would invest that type of time and energy into somebody that isn't giving it back. So I always respected Craig. I thought it'd be a good fight. And then when we both won the titles that night, then the next day, it was just in my mind. I just couldn't shake it. And then time went on, and I don't think there's a flyweight challenge out there for me right now that's worth getting out of bed for it. That's a hard training camp, and that's a tough weight cut. And I'm not just doing it for something that's not going to further my career. This fight does further my career, and I can be a little bit nicer to everybody through training camp because I'm not cutting weight. So it's win-win. I think it's a great fight. I owe a little bit to Sab and to Rise FC. They picked up that fight for me against Terrence on short notice. They added it to an already full card that they had. I know it costs them money. I know how all that works, and I appreciated it, and I felt like this is a good way to give back too. So this was just win-win all around. I talked about it with my coach, talked about it to the promoters, and everybody was just on board. So here we are now.
Is part of the decision as well just what you're seeing with the UFC right now, where they're not really being too warm at the flyweights right now? Do you feel like bantamweight's sort of a better lock for you in terms of your future?
It's kind of funny that was all happening right at the same time. It kind of helped me maybe push my decision. I'm not that worried about it because the UFC is great, but there's lots of great opportunities out there internationally to fight too. So it doesn't weigh that heavy on my mind. But yeah, it was kind of there, and you're like, man, what's happening? Especially when you get an opportunity to maybe move to 135, it's a lot more stable. But at the same time, I feel like I'm one of the best in the world at 125, so I don't want to just give that up. But I just want fights that matter. I want to fight guys that are going to get me noticed. I don't want to just try and keep padding up a record or keep adding wins. That's gone. People don't care about that anymore. I still see people doing it, and they're coming off with pretty shiny records, but it's just not working for them. They're still here. They're still right beside me fighting locally because you're not pushing yourself to really get the biggest fights you can, and that is 100% what I want. Every fight that I'm doing has to be the biggest fight I can possibly do.
A little bit of revenge, I'm sure, too, with your teammate, Andrew Bard, losing to him in the last fight as well. Does that add a little bit more to this fight, just kind of getting one back for your team?
Yeah, I don't think about that one too much, but it's there. I mean, I felt too bad for Andrew just because I knew how prepared he was and how good he is, and he didn't get a chance to show it that night. But it's separate. I mean, that's just a separate thing. That's Andrew's thing. I'm not trying to do anything different that way. Andrew's super supportive, still helping me in the gym and train. But yeah, I wouldn't say it plays much of a factor at all. That's just a fight. Two guys fighting. They respect each other, shake hands after, and now me and Craig are gonna go at it.
Style-wise, how do you feel like you match up against Craig in this fight?
Bad for Craig, real bad for Craig. I'm just too experienced. I move too well. I hit way too hard, and I don't think he's going to have a lot of options out there. I think he's going to run out of them real quick, and then I'm going to be able to take him out.
Talked about one of your teammates there. I think when people think of Champions Creed, they think of Hakeem Dawada, who's in the UFC right now. Who are some of the guys you get to work with that are helping you get ready for this fight?
Number one's coaches. Coaches are so great there. I mean, that's one of the biggest benefits about switching gyms that I found is they're so invested. They care so much about you and your growth to the point where some days, they're harder days because they're on you. They didn't like the way you were doing a technique, and they're not letting it go until you get it done and before you go home that day. So Brian Bird is our head coach, and he's there like his Saturdays, his Sunday mornings when we're doing sparring. I mean, he's got his family and 2 kids, but he's still always there to make sure that we're not just getting the work in, that he's there seeing it, watching us progress. If he has to help, my striking coach, Chad Sawyer, again, same thing. We're texting each other, meeting up Sunday mornings for pads or whatever he's got available. And he's got a full-time job too. So just the actual real support and care I get from my coaches are huge. Training partners, we just got tons, man. The Champions Creed is so tough right now. Our amateur guys, Ramil and Nick. Ramil's actually fighting tonight up in Grand Prairie. But just a ton of tough guys. There's no easy rounds. Our gym is split up like most MMA gyms. We have a grappling classes. We have striking classes. And when I go back and forth, man, the grapplers are just so good. Their jiu-jitsu, their wrestling. I switch back over to our Muay Thai guys, and they're so good, and they're competing at world titles. So it's just nonstop, man. As good as you can get every single day. So that's just how it happens. That's how you get better.
Are we going to see another finish on April 13th? How do you see this fight unfolding?
Oh, man, I'm really excited for it. That's why, this one really gets me out of bed because I know Craig is tough, and I know Craig likes to stand and bang a little bit too. So I'm always down for those fights. I love it. That's how I love putting my guys away. But I really see this one dragging out because I know Craig he's not just going to go away. It's a big opportunity for him too. He doesn't want somebody moving up a weight class and taking his belt, no doubt. So, I'm ready to go 5 rounds. I kind of want to go 5 rounds. That's good experience. That's good cage work. But at the end of the day, I'm going to hurt him on the feet. He's going to either try and shoot in and get choked out, or he's just going to end up flat on his back, no doubt. Round 2, round 3, something like that.
Anything on tap after this as far as the rest of your schedule for 2019? Because I imagine with Rise, there probably is some flexibility if you need to keep active and want to go, compete elsewhere.
Yeah, they've been really good to me. I'm just open to everything. I'm just open to big fights, big opportunities. At the point in my career where waiting isn't really beneficial at all, starting to be around in the game for quite a while. I don't have any immediate plans. This fight is not as hard on me training camp-wise when I'm not cutting weight. Usually you feel like you need a break after fighting because you've been cutting weight and you've been dieting and training. But, if the fight goes well, I'm ready to rock anybody, anytime.
We talked all about your fight career. What about downtime? You talked off the top about growing up playing hockey. Do you follow the NHL at all, or what do you like doing on your downtime?
Oh yeah, I'm always cheering for the Flames, man.
Yeah, good year to be a Flames fan, I must say. Yeah.
Well, yeah, one of not many. So yeah, we take advantage of being able to cheer when we can for them. And I don't know, I like being outdoors. I got my own boat. I love going fishing, camping, spending time, just like anybody, friends and family. I have a pretty good balance in my life, I think. I know a lot of fighters that don't, and it can be harder on you. It's one of the things I kind of learned with experience is that you need to actually have a bit of a balance to help. If you want any type of longevity, any type of long career, you need to balance it out a little bit. So yeah, man, I get it out as much as I can. I really enjoy my summers out here. Calgary's a beautiful spot. I love getting over to BC when I can too, camping, fishing, just relaxing, doing the normal. I'm still technically a small town boy, even though I live here in Calgary. So.
Do you kind of ramp down the training a little bit in the summer just so you can get that time to go camping and fishing and everything else? Because like you mentioned, it's beautiful out there in the summer.
Yeah, a little bit. I kind of plan my fights around it a little bit. Like this was a perfect timing. I fought not that long ago, end of November, but this one popped up kind of right before summer gets going. Summer does get busier for me work-wise too. Obviously we're a boat dealership, so it's one of the opportunities I get to give back to my employer a little bit. They give me a lot of flexibility, so I like to make sure I'm available for them when we need it too. So I usually don't book that much in summer, but big opportunities are there. I'll never say no.
It's going to be a great title fight coming up here April 13th. It is Rise FC3 from Chilliwack. Chad, it was great getting a chance to talk to you, man. Just remind people where they can find you on social media, and if you have any sponsors or shout-outs, the floor is yours, man.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, I can't wait, man. Rise FC3 super fight, champ versus champ. Check me out on Facebook, Instagram. I'm all over the place there. The Monster CA is where I'm at on Instagram. That's where most of my stuff is at. I just want to make sure I thank my gym, Champions Creed. I talk about them a lot, but man, I would not be having opportunities without them. My strength conditioning coach, Jason Pryor at Push Fitness, he's been with me for years, man. Long-time sponsor, and he was a sponsor when I was 2-5. So I definitely owe him. And Fortius Rehab, they've been helping me a lot, getting my small injuries in check always. I'm actually on my way there right after this. So they're keeping me ready for the fight too. But other than that, that's it, man.